Hey there, I'm Jackie Ferris. This week we were at the Delaware Museum of Nature and Science, where we're learning about animals native to Delaware from present time all the way back to the age of the dinosaur. Get ready for a fantastic, fun-filled trip through time next on the 302. Welcome to the Delaware Museum of Nature and Science, where their motto is, what do you want to discover today? And we are going to discover so much. I'm joined, first of all, by Jennifer Acord. She is the Director of Communications for the museum. Jennifer, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for being here today.
So let's talk a little bit, dive right in. We are in the Regional Journey Room, is that right?
Absolutely. The Regional Journey Gallery is a look around Delaware and the amazing ecosystems that are in our state.
It's really cool. When you walk in, the first thing you notice is the map on the floor. Talk to me a little bit about how this room is set up.
So we set up the room that takes a trip through the ecosystems of Delaware. So the temperate forests of northern Delaware, the mixed forests, we go down to the Delaware Bay, the dunes, salt marshes, and the bald cypress swamp, which is the most northern cypress swamp in the United States.
So let's talk a little bit about the portion of the state that we're in now. We're talking about the Bayshore Dunes, and there's a display here that has some birds and some crabs. Talk to me a little bit about that.
So every May, shorebirds come in. They're coming from South America to go up to the Arctic where they lay their eggs. But they need to stop to fill up and replenish themselves. So horseshoe crabs are also coming in. They lay their eggs on the beaches, and it's a really special connection that happens only in Delaware. So we want to highlight it in this exhibit. And horseshoe crabs actually are not crabs. They are closer to arthropods, but horseshoe crabs have been around for millions of years.
So when you look at the display, there's one thing that really caught my eye, and that is a tag on one of the horseshoe crabs. What's that all about?
Well, scientists, it's really important to gather data about the migration of these creatures. So there are scientists who study horseshoe crabs specifically, and the tag on the horseshoe crab helps us know where it's been, how old it is, etc. And birds also get tagged and flagged as well, so their migration can be measured too.
So let's migrate a little bit south and talk a little bit about the salt marshes. I'm really enjoying the exhibit with the fish and the is that a duck?
Yes, it is a duck. We have a variety of animals from the ecosystems. Each ecosystem area has displays that focus on a specific story. Mm-hmm. In the salt marsh, it talks about diversity of the salt marsh as a nursery for so many different kinds of animals. And it gives them a chance to see, our guests a chance to see what it looks like under the water.
And they all have to live together in harmony in this ecosystem.
Absolutely. Not always in harmony, because that's the thing with the food web. You know, there are predators and prey,
Absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about the bald cypress swamps. Tell me about those.
So the bald cypress swamps, the cypress trees, this area of Delaware, it's the most northern cypress swamp in the United States. And each one of our ecosystems will reflect a certain actual area in Delaware. And the bald cypress swamp is really Trap Pond, which is state park downstate. One of the things we really hope people will do is come here, explore an ecosystem, and then actually go visit that ecosystem in Delaware.
Absolutely. I think one of the things that's really cool about this room is that in addition to looking at the walls and the exhibits and all of the animals that you have here, you also encourage people to look up. You have this exhibit goes all the way to the ceiling, and there's so much to explore when you look up.
Absolutely. We have birds that are flying through the air. They're in the trees. It's a really we wanted this to be a layered type of exhibit. So you can look up and see the birds and hear the birds too. The sounds that are in the background are actual bird sounds from the different ecosystems. And then look down too. We have a lot of little things to look into. You can see underground what animals are there.
And looking at the tree behind you, and there's a little cubby hole that says "peep peep, who's inside?" So who is inside?
So those are little tiny birds and just hatched. And it's a chance because that's not something you see a close up most of the time.
Right.
But there are birds that are within the cypress tree.
And if you did see something like that out in nature, you wouldn't want to get too close because then it causes distress for the animals and could lead to a situation that potentially would not be cool.
Absolutely. It's really important to be careful of animals and in nature, to treat them appropriately, to not disturb them. We also have another exhibit about the piping plover in our Bayshore area that talks about those little birds and how they need protection.
Sure. Now I want to ask you about is it the gray fox?
Yes, the gray fox. The gray fox is the Delaware state mammal, and it is native to Delaware. You see a lot of red foxes, but they are not actually native to Delaware. So students at McVeigh Elementary School several years ago helped get legislation passed to make the gray fox the state mammal.
And you find the gray fox exhibit in the temperate forest, which is really cool because you have like slices of different sections of forests.
Yes, it's an opportunity for a little bit of part of the ecosystem to tell a story about something that happens there, whether it's food webs or changing seasons, etc.
Well, I got to tell you, I discovered a lot about Delaware, and I'm sure that your visitors are going to love it as well. But we're also going to learn about the global journey they have here and dinosaurs when we return.
I'm Debbie Buxton, the Executive Director of the Historic Odessa Foundation. Come discover Odessa with the 302.
Welcome back. We're at the Delaware Museum of Nature and Science, and we've come across the hall to the global journey. I'm joined now by Director Halsey Spruance, who is here to tell us all about the global journey and all there is to see. But I got to tell you, you walk in and again, there's a map on the floor as kind of a preview.
Yeah, exactly. So big map of the world all on the floor here, and it's color coded around the side with the different ecosystems that are found throughout the world. And what we've done is we've busted out the map and these color-coded ecosystems onto the sides for more information. And that's meant to be, very purposeful in terms of we can't cover everything, but let's show the diversity of the planet right here in this gallery.
Absolutely. Well, let's start with the ocean. And the thing that's really cool, I think, is this is an actual whale skull, right?
Yeah. So one thing. A cool part about this gallery is that we're trying to show that we're all connected. So, you may be in Europe, you may be in Africa, but there are actually savannas that are throughout, grasslands. Mm-hmm. So we're shared by that. This whale right here actually beached along the Delaware River on the bay shore, and we salvaged it. And we actually prepared it specifically for hanging in this gallery. So humpback whales are found throughout the world in all the oceans, but this one actually washed ashore here in Delaware. So we rearticulated it so that it could hang here as a global specimen, but also has a very strong local connection.
Absolutely, and people don't realize, that whales have skulls that are this large.
Yeah, true. And you're also, you're sitting on the beach, whether it's in Stone Harbor or Rehoboth or Bethany or Lewis, and your feet are in the sand, and these guys are actually swimming out there. So whales are actually mammals, so we are related to mammals. So this is a huge skull here, but it's a juvenile.
So when you come into the room, after you're done checking out the amazing skull, right next to it is the African savanna, and there are so many examples of animals that live there. Can you take us for a tour?
Sure, yeah. So deep into the savanna, you can see the elephant head that's on the wall over there. one of my favorites because it's looking through the acacia tree. We have the ostrich it's got its head peeking up into the acacia tree trying to get a nibble of something to eat. And then throughout we've also had these crawl-throughs, so you can actually crawl through the savanna, pop up, and you can come up right by the warthog.
And it's really interesting that you have all this material that you can appreciate it just by looking at it, but you can also do kind of a deep dive with the material that you have along the case.
Yeah, so whether you're a youngster or an elderly person, depending on what you want to see, it could be just the wow of seeing this ecosystem in its place, or you can dig down and find out some more information about any specific specimen or animal that's around here.
Another thing that I find really fascinating is not just the exhibits, but you're also encouraged to look up here. You have geese and a polar bear if you look up.
Yeah. Powers of observation. That is what we're doing for the scientific method. You know, you have to actually go out in the world and use your senses to find out, to learn more. So we have a lot of information about these things, but you're meant to go out and explore the museum in that way.
So tell me a little bit about the Arctic tundra. And by the way, are these geese part of that, or are they on their way to somewhere else?
Once again, another connection. So the snow geese actually fly through Delaware on their migratory patterns, but they're found they go in the summertime up into the Arctic. So that's a purposeful connection between what's here and what's up in the Arctic. Mm-hmm. So the tundra actually has here at the museum, we're showing it during the summertime and the wintertime. So in the summertime, there's, the grasses are there, but there's no big trees, and you can see the animals there. In the wintertime, you've got a giant walrus that is overlooking a broken piece of ice, which is another crawl through. So you can crawl through the ice, look up, and see this giant walrus.
It's really amazing. Is that the actual size of walrus?
Oh yes, that's an actual walrus.
Well, that's really amazing. So tell me about its neighbor. It's not a bison, it's a musk ox.
It's a musk ox. So
this
is a large animal that roams the Arctic tundra. It has a lot of fur on it to keep it. It's adapted to these harsh winter environments, so that it has this huge coat that it sheds a little bit during the summertime, but then rebuilds it during the fall so that it can survive through the winter.
So we've talked about the ocean, we've talked about the Arctic, we've talked about the savanna, but you also have a rainforest.
Yes, the rainforest is absolutely phenomenal, and it's a completely immersive area. So it's a little darker, it's a little quieter, there's a lot of green. And once again, you really have to use your powers of observation to explore everything in there, because there's a squirrel monkey that spoiler alert, there's a squirrel monkey that's hanging directly above you, and you actually can look up and you say, whoa, there, he's about to drop down on me.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to talk a little bit about dinosaurs when we return.
Hi, this is Heather Campbell Coyle, and you are watching The 302.
Welcome back. We are now in probably a lot of folks' favorite part of the museum, the Paleo Zone. I'm joined again by the museum director, Halsey. I got to tell you, this is a really cool room, and the coolest part is that all of these dinosaurs would have been in the Delaware area, right?
Yes, correct. So this is the Paleo Zone, so life in the Cretaceous here in the Mid-Atlantic area. So we have hanging above us the mosasaur. So most of Delaware was underwater during the Cretaceous period. So the mosasaur would have been plying the waters over Smyrna, Dover, Georgetown, looking for things to eat. It was a carnivore, ate big stuff. Interesting part about the mosasaur, it actually has teeth on the upper side of its mouth.
Okay.
So not just on the outside like we do. So if you look up there, you can see these teeth that were really meant to eat a lot of stuff.
And they also made an appearance in Jurassic Park, right?
Yeah, exactly. So Jurassic Park, where they had the SeaWorld type scenario, and this giant mosasaur comes out of the water, leaps out, and grabs this large, I can't remember if
it was like cow or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's amazing.
Scary.
So talk to me a little bit about the dinosaur on the back wall. How long is this dinosaur, first of all?
So that is a dryptosaur. So dryptosaur is cool. So it's about 30 feet long altogether.
Wow.
So and it's a cast. But the Dryptosaur this summer was just named the state dinosaur of Delaware. So a bunch of kids out of Shumadell Middle School in Christiana area, they came together, wanted to designate a dinosaur for the state of Delaware, and they were successful in getting it through the General Assembly of being nominated for that.
It looks a little bit like a T-Rex.
Yeah, smaller T-Rex. So the T-Rex were found here in the United States, mostly out west, but the Dryptosaur was actually roaming what is now, Newcastle County.
Now, T-Rex, they weren't super fast, but this looks like it could probably go pretty fast.
They can go pretty fast. Small arms, so and it was definitely a carnivore, as scary as the mosasaur.
Oh, sure,
Yeah.
sure. And what about the dinosaur we have flying? That's terrifying.
Yeah, the Nyctosaur. So Nyctosaur was actually not that very big. With its the top part of it came up to about 3 feet. So not huge, but it's a flying reptile in the Petrosaur family.
It was a meat eater?
Meat eaters, yes, they were.
Oh, hence the beaks. So talk to me a little bit about the timeline. It takes us all the way through.
Yeah, so I love the Paleozone in so many ways because it's just so cool, and the fact that this is connected to the Delaware area, I just love. But we have to put it in context. So we have this area called exploring change over deep time. So time, as the Earth was formed, there was a lot of time that passed until life started appearing. And when it started appearing, we've documented it here, mostly starting with marine life and then getting into the terrestrial side. But it's a fabulous type of a documentation of the wild animals that have existed over a long period of time, over 600 million years.
Now, while these are all casts of animals that were here, you actually have live animals in each of the exhibits. We have a scorpion here, and there's some frogs in the rainforest. Right. So talk to me about that.
So, the idea is, yes, we're looking back to say what we know about the world, but also saying, well, why should you care and what you can do? So to take those efforts forward, we've actually introduced live animals into each one of the journeys. And to help us out, Kathy Parado from our museum staff can actually be of service here.
Well, Kathy, come on in. Let's see what you got for us here.
Sure.
Oh, my goodness.
Hi.
This is my friend from Science Saturdays.
Yeah. Yeah, this is Maisie. She's our corn snake. So just like Halsey was saying, we do have live animals around the museum in certain exhibits to kind of give you the idea that these aren't just static ecosystems you're looking at. They are alive.
Right.
So you may see an American toad out in the forest, and so we have an American toad here. Or our fishing spider. She's very big. She's very popular. Mm-hmm.
Big.
Somewhat with people, yes. Yeah. But she was out and about this morning. And then we also do live animal presentations with our ambassador animals, like Maisie here.
Maisie,
our corn snake.
Hello, Maisie. I remember. Do you remember me? So this really is a great way, I guess, to get the love of science, the love of history, especially natural history, to get it across to the people that visit. Talk to me a little bit about just, I guess, the variety of animals that you have in the programs.
Well, the animals are meant, in each one of the journeys are meant to kind of be emblematic of the kind of things you can see there.
Yeah. So we have everything from amphibians, reptiles, we even have some birds, we have some mammals, a lot of arthropods, and a few fish here as well.
Yeah.
So a nice variety that people can meet. Twice a day we do these meet and animals with people, 11:45 a.m. and 2 p.m. And it varies what you see each day. There's certain days where we feed our dart frogs out on the floor.
Okay.
They're very popular and very cute.
I can imagine. Now, when we were talking about what animal you're going to bring out, you mentioned a dragon.
We have a bearded dragon here.
Okay.
Yep. Her name is Kanga. She is also well known to a lot of our return guests and members here.
Absolutely. And do you have, when they go onto your website, do you have things that they can click on to learn about the animals, to kind of like preview their trip or know what animal is going to be brought out for the day?
We do have information on our ambassador animals online, and we do have the schedule of when you'll meet them each day. However, we can't guarantee who is going to come out each time because sometimes our snakes have just eaten or they're getting ready to shed. So we kind of keep it up as a surprise for the guests when they get here.
Fantastic. Well, if somebody wants to come out and they want to see Maisie or one of the other animals or any of the exhibits, talk to us a little bit about your website, your hours, things like that.
So we're open 9:30 to 4:30, 7 days a week. minus Christmas Day. I think we're closed, so we're open a lot.
Yes.
We also have
Yeah.
extended hours during designated times that you can find on our website. But
Yeah.
the website is delmns.org.
And it's important to let people know that all of this stuff is brand new because you
Yeah.
guys were closed down for a little while and just kind of reimagined everything. So if you have been here in the past, it's time to come back. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Maisie.
Thank you, Maisie.
We'll be right back. For more information on any of the exhibits here at the Delaware Museum of Nature and Science, you can visit delmns.org. That'll do it for this week's episode of The 302. We're going to leave you now with some beauty shots of Silver Lake Park in Dover. Until next time, I'm Jackie Ferris. Tell them you saw it on The 302.